10, and I wanted to thank everyone for joining this webinar. And Hi, I am Priya. I am the Information Coordinator of the IFLA section of Education and Training. And this is a joint webinar that we are holding with LIS, ILE SIG. So I will hand it over to Dick to later talk about the SIG, but a little bit about section on education and training. This is the section from IFLA that mainly focuses on education. So most of our programs, projects, and webinars are for education in LIS. It's for instructors, students, faculty, librarians, or anyone who's interested in LIS. So I am very glad that you've joined this webinar, and I know we are going to have a great webinar, and I'll hand it over to Dick to talk a little bit about the leaks, and then Sandy here, she's going to moderate the webinar for us.
Thank you so much, Priya, and our IFLA colleagues who are co-hosting this event today, which is a well-attended event. I'm here representing ALIS, specifically the ALIS International Special Interest Group. So the SIG is dedicated to members. ALIS itself is dedicated to promoting library and information science education, high quality library information science education in North America, with membership primarily in North America, but we also have members from around the world. The International Library Education SIG within LIS focuses on, of course, international issues, promoting comparative librarianship among SIG members. So this webinar, working with IFLA, is very much within the mission and focus activities and areas of the SIG. We are very much excited to hear from the different speakers that have agreed to be part of this session. And without further ado, I would like to hand over to Professor Sandy, who is going to lead us through the session.
Thank you so much, Dick. It's such a pleasure to be here today, and I'm excited to serve as the moderator for this session. I currently am serving as the Special Assistant to the Provost for AI Initiatives at San Jose State University, and I previously served as the iSchool Director and Associate Dean there. I'm also very active internationally, and I'm currently the chair of ALA's International Relations Roundtable, a past president of ALIS, and I'm also serving as a standing committee member on IFLA's Education and Training Committee. So it's really a pleasure to be here. And joining me today, we have an amazing panel of speakers who I will introduce very briefly now, and I'm excited to turn it over to them shortly. We have Andrew Cox, who is senior academic in information science at the University of Sheffield, who's specializing in research data management, academic libraries, and digital practices. And his work explores artificial intelligence, information behavior, and scholarly communication. He's published extensively and supervises doctoral research in information professions, technology, and knowledge systems. We also have Bosire Anyancha, who is a research professor in information science at the University of South Africa. He specializes in infometrics, knowledge management, and research evaluation. He has a PhD from University of Zululand, and he supervises postgraduate students and contributes extensively to scholarly research in information systems and policy. We also have Clara Chu, who is the director of the Mortensen Center for International Library Programs and is Mortensen Distinguished Professor at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Her research focuses on information behavior of historically marginalized communities, LIS education, equity of information access, and emerging technologies and trends. We also have Danya Balal joining us, who is the Patricia D. Williams Professor at the School of Information Sciences, University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Her research combines human information behavior, human AI interaction, and human-centered design, and her current project examines students' interactions with Microsoft Copilot, perceptions of and attitudes toward AI, and is funded by the University of Tennessee System Grand Challenges Grant. And then we also have Sue Young Rhee, who is a professor in the School of Information at the University of Texas at Austin. And she previously served as interim dean and senior associate dean for academic affairs. Her research focuses on information-seeking behavior, search as learning, creativity, support and search, and AI applications in libraries. As you can see, we have a stellar group of speakers who I really want to make sure we turn it over to them. But first, a lay of the land. We are going to start with brief presentations from each, from the speakers. Sue, Clara, and Danya have a joint project that they'll be speaking about. And after their brief 10-minute presentations, I'm going to pose a few questions to the panelists, and then it'll be open to you for our Q&A from the audience. So please do put in questions into the chat as they occur to you for each of the speakers or overall across all the speakers, and we will get to your questions in the latter part of the session today. So with that, I'd like to kick off our speakers' presentations with Andrew Cox. So I'd like to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Let me share my slides. I can find them. Hopefully you can see those slides. So I'm from the School of Information Journalism and Communication at Sheffield in the UK. A little bit about us. We don't believe in league tables, do we? But we have been top of one of them for quite a long time. But we do, an interesting thing about us is we do teach a very wide range of topics, from librarianship through to information systems, data science, journalism. So there's a lot of different takes in our school on what AI even is, let alone on how we teach it. But I'm going to focus very much on the library and information management perspective. And I suppose one of the key things to say is, like probably most institutions, there are policies that we need to align to. So I think it is worth mentioning that a lot of what we do in our sector in the UK is heavily influenced by a statement that was made in 23 from the Russell Group of universities about what students in all subjects should take away from AI. So it's a really interesting document. And I suppose the key takeaway is that it's relatively positive about AI and saying every student should be AI literate and staff should be AI literate too. And we also align to the university's set of principles. So maybe this won't come up in other talks, but I think it's quite interesting to say that the university wants us to take a positive approach to AI. It recognises many of the problems, the limitations. In terms of inclusivity, we mandate the use of Google Gemini as the main sort of AI chatbot. And we do have a policy that requires students to kind of acknowledge and describe their use of AI in assessment. Just on a kind of sideline to that, a recent report on UK higher education says some interesting and very controversial things about how well AI is supported. I don't agree with a lot of what it said, but I think it's also a report that maybe people who are on this call would be interested in reading, is saying a few things like this, that AI isn't one thing, there's multiple AI uses, and therefore AI policy struggles to deal with that. And that they say that a lot of institutions have got policies, but they're not actually put into force very well. I'm not sure I agree with that, but and they also had some interesting findings about that maybe women are using AI far less. And of course, in our subject field of librarianship, it's a female led profession, female majority profession. So that's an interesting dimension to think about. And it's also, I think they put stress on the way that maybe the problems of higher education as a whole are the issue, not AI itself. So I suppose those are some of the kind of context. And I think I wanted to put this slide in about challenges and opportunities. So I think the current wave of students I'm teaching are pretty skeptical about AI, actually. So maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. Maybe it's a challenge, maybe it's an opportunity. I think the topic of AI is pretty tricky to teach because it's evolving so rapidly in terms of things like agentic AI, different standards. Realistic, but at the same time, realistic applications of AI for professional practice are only just emerging, I would say. And then some of the issues are really, really complex and differ across sectors. So if I was teaching someone going into a national library, I think they've been using AI for a long time. If you're teaching someone going into a school library, the position is completely different. But the issues are very complex, things like sustainability. Of course, I think what we want to do is prompt students to think a bit more about the strategy around AI as a technology and learn about alignment, but also emergent strategy. So I suppose that's a big theme of what I want to say. Also to say that I think the economic environment for higher education, perhaps around the world, is very problematic, but it's also problematic for our profession. So many of the uses that AI is being put to, are they actually cutting jobs? Are they reducing the number of entry-level jobs? At the same time, I think it's true that the students we're teaching now are very desirable to employers because they want people who've got new ideas. So I think that's not necessarily negative, but there is a question mark about employability. And then there's the issue of social equity. I don't think AI technologies overall promote social equity. Like the figure I just gave about women being less willing to use AI. That's probably a good thing, they're ethically aware, but it doesn't mean they're accessing the benefits as much. But at the same time, I think LIS has a very powerful role to play within institutions. It's not just about what the library says about AI. It's about the information perspective on AI in terms of accuracy, bias, intellectual property rights. That's a really strong stance that makes our profession even more important. So I suppose there's challenges and opportunities in this environment. What I would like LIS students to learn, and we're just covering a lot of this at the moment, but maybe I would like to have more space in the curriculum for it. First, I want them to be generative AI literate. We came up with a model of generative AI literacy a while back, but I think there's some good points in this, and maybe other models are better now, but I think they need a pragmatic understanding. Well, how do you use ChatGPT or Gemini effectively? They need to be able to prompt. They need to be able to evaluate AI outputs. But they also need this reflective understanding to think about, how is this impacting my learning that I'm using AI? That's really important. And they need to know about the wider social and ethical issues. And also, we stressed in our model kind of contextual understanding. It's like, well, maybe using it in an assignment is a bit different from composing an email to a colleague. So we've got to think about context a lot. So that's one thing I want our students to know about, is that range of like pragmatic but also ethical issues. We've also, in the IFLA AI SIG, which I am the convener of, we developed this kind of entry point to libraries and AI. And basically, again, it's attempting to be a balanced approach of talking about all the benefits and uses of AI in libraries, but also to work through scenarios and ask a bunch of questions about those scenarios. And we got basically in that entry point 14 different questions that we want people to ask about AI and whether it should be used. And developing that further, especially, I think the environmental issue is so central and so much of concern to students. I haven't got time to go through the complexity of that, but I think there's a number of different. I don't think we know the answer to the environmental impact. It's a very nuanced debate, but I think we can frame it in a number of ways. And there's a short article that I've written that's on a preprint that you can access, talking about different ways to frame the issue for students. And another thing we've been trying to develop is thinking about, okay, there's the alignment view of AI. So we can think about national strategies, the sector strategies, the things I've talked about already, institutional strategies. But there's also a kind of emergent strategy approach to AI that I think is useful for students to learn about, is thinking about these different, on the right-hand side of the screen, tactics we can use to raise AI competency within the organization. And that includes something that I think other speakers will mention as well, like things like futuring tactics, thinking about different scenarios about the future. So that's really my talk. That's my idea of how AI should be taught. So hopefully that's a useful start to the discussion. I'm really excited to hear what other people will say.
Thank you so much, Andrew. That was a great start for our discussion today. I'd like to turn it over now to our second speaker, Bosire Anyancha. If you could pull up your slides, that would be great. And we will hear now from him. But thank you so much, Andrew, and we will follow up with questions shortly.
I hope that you can hear me.
We can.
Okay, no, thank you so much. Do I have to put on the camera or this is fine?
However you'd like to do it. We'd love to see your face though, if you would like.
Okay, let me try to see if I can be able to put on the camera. Yeah, that's fine. Okay,
There you go. It looks great.
There you are. There you are. No, thank you so much, Sandy, for the opportunity and the organizers for inviting me to talk on this aspect of AI. And I must confess from the onset that what I'm going to present is a manuscript that I've just prepared for to be published in an IFULA sponsored or supported book, an IFULA book. And so I'm just going to make a brief presentation about that is based on that manuscript. And the title of the manuscript is Artificial Intelligence in Library and Information Science Education. And we're talking about the idea of moving from just a concept to ensuring that the practice is also taken care of or involved in on matters of AI. The title may have it's a little bit different from the original title that I had envisaged to present on, but it's all about conceptualizing AI within LIS. Yeah, so I move on to then therefore why AI in LIS education and training and also even in research matters. There's a sense and an understanding that AI reshapes knowledge systems, and therefore there is need for us to focus on it and have some kind of discussions and other maybe discourses around the issue of AI. There is also an issue about conceptual fragmentation in LIS. AI is not universally, does not have a universal kind of understanding or even definition, and therefore there is therefore need in order for us to conceptualize it within the LIS field, because when you talk about AI in LIS, it could be different from AI, for instance, in computer science. And then there is therefore a need also for evidence-based integration of AI in our offerings, in our activities and other programs that we do offer. We do offer in LIS. Now, how did I conduct this study? First of all, I need to mention that I use the Web of Science to obtain relevant documents and information about publications on AI. And bibliometrics is a tool or a research design that I employed to obtain that the data from the Web of Science, and also even analyze data using the subject areas, the macro kind of subject areas, the meso themes, the thematic areas, and also micro, and to reveal the applications of AI within LIS. Now, when we look at the growth of AI in LIS, we notice that from 1972 to 2025, the AI has really grown in leaps and bounds. And if you look at, for instance, we started with 160 publications in 1972 to 1990, but that number has grown to 5,134 in between 2021 to 2025, and these are just journal articles that we are talking about. If you look at the countries that have been involved in producing research on AI, it's from 14 to 143 in 2025. And the number of author keywords that I'm going to make a presentation about to show the evolution of AI, this number has grown from just 20 author keywords to about 13,605 keywords in 2021 to 2025. If we look at the evolution of AI in LIS, colleagues, what we have just mapped using VOS Viewer, the the author keywords. And phase one, which is around 1970s to 1990, we see the presence of expert systems and automation, and AI is mentioned in relation to expert systems and automation. And then we move to phase two, where we have got machine learning and also information retrieval. And we saw some keywords that are related to classification and clustering and even cataloging. Then phase three is natural language. We see natural language processing coming very strong. And this is a phase that we have named as data-driven, user-centered AI, where natural language processing became a central theme in that phase three, and also big data-enabled context awareness services and analytics were very, very much prominent. Phase four, we see AI, generative AI, and AI literacy becoming very, very prominent among LIS researchers. And we think that these phases just reflect the development of AI within the LIS field. And this also, therefore, may also reflect on the trajectory that the LIS profession or the LIS practice should also be taking. And I think that this will also affect the manner in which we do curriculum development and even develop new programs. When we talk about practical AI applications in LIS, we see a multi-layered kind of approach or application of AI in LIS. We see it being applied in areas of semantic search, query expansion, and all that under the intelligent information retrieval. Then there is automated classification and metadata activities. Recommender systems is another area where we have personalized resource suggestions with the explainability to support user services. And then the other part is AI-supported digital libraries. And I think this is an area that we need to really look into because we are going to see in the future. I'm just thinking that in the future we are going to see libraries that are actually purely run or developed and run by a lot of the use of AI. And if you see the trend right now, we are seeing that you can use AI to access any kind of resources that are already digital and are already online. And I'm just thinking that libraries may end up just adopting that in order for them to be more relevant and to the current and future users or generation of users. And then there's very more importantly, we see AI literacy becoming very central in our offerings. And this is one area that I think even the former speaker, Andrew, mentioned in his presentation. The emerging areas for teaching and curriculum development, I think AI ethics and responsible AI is one area that we picked that is very prominent in the research, and therefore we believe that it is an area that is very, very crucial and critical in our offerings. Data privacy and governance, AI brings complications about data privacy and governance, and therefore it's an area that needs to be addressed so that AI can be used responsibly in the field of LIS. Human AI interaction, I think this is now a common occurrence. We all use this AI for different kind of things. And then lastly, where I think it is now being an emerging area where AI is used and where we need to ensure that it then therefore is infused into teaching and curriculum is scholarly communication and AI. So what am I saying? And I think this is the last slide that I'm going to present is that I think that AI has become a core LIS competence or area of study, and therefore it should be considered as a critical area for LIS offerings as we do. And we need therefore to make sure that this makes it as urgent as it can be, the idea of curriculum transformation in our LIS schools. I think I should stop there so that then I can allow at the end some kind of deliberations around this presentation. Thank you so much, Sandy.
Thank you so much for that great presentation, and congratulations on your book. That's really exciting. Okay, we have our third set of presenters now that I'd like to transition to, and I will hand it over to Clara, Sue, and Danya. So you should be all.
Great. Thank you so much, Sandy. And we also would like to thank Elise and IFLACET for the kind invitation to participate in this wonderful webinar. And so the presentation will be done as a collaborative team, myself, Daniel Bilal, Su Young Ri. And so we will be addressing integrating AI in iSchools, innovative education for future library and information professionals. And so the context that we're speaking from is that we recognize as iSchool faculty that AI has disrupted education and training, particularly following the release of ChatGPT in November 2022, and has necessitated change in what and how students learn and professionals stay current. And so what we want to do here in this presentation is to share with you immediate and forward-looking solutions in education and workforce training that we've implemented, specifically addressing innovative AI training projects and research analyzing AI curricula in high schools in the US and Canada. So our collaboration started as ACES board members. And we were discussing ways that we could contribute as ACES leadership. And then we started to discuss in 2019 how libraries were discussing but not applying AI. So this would have been before ChatGPT that we were looking at this topic, and that the AI that wasn't being discussed included algorithmic bias, ethical concerns, privacy, safety, cost, and lack of expertise. And so what we were able to note was the gap in AI education and the lack of depth in preparing librarians. And so we ended up putting together a proposal, and this proposal was funded through a grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services for the period of 2020 and then extended to 2023. And so this particular institute on AI is a 1-week intensive, interactive, evidence-based, and applications-oriented professional development program for library and information professionals. And so we were able to have the grant fund certain individuals to attend, and then others that would self-fund themselves. And so this was offered over 2 years, and in the summer here at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and in the summer of 2022 at the University of Texas at Austin. So the institute structure was to have a pre-institute onboarding virtual program, and this was so the cohorts could learn about what AI and the context, and also to have them consider their knowledge and their development in Python programming. And then we met for 1 week in a face-to-face institute program. And so the topics that we were able to cover range from conceptual to technical to social and applied. As you can see, it was a range of topics that this was all happening before Gen AI or ChatGPT was introduced. And so there was more emphasis on the tools that were available and things like machine learning and so forth. And so what has been the impact of the IDEA Institute? We've been able to share our experiences and good practice through presentations and publications. We have been conducting research that you'll hear about that Dania will present. And then we've also offered leadership through editorial positions through special issues of journals, organizing conference sessions and workshops. And specifically, we also want to recognize our fellows who have also provided leadership and are working on AI projects and solutions in their institutions and in other places. So the work of the Institute continues, as we were the co-founders of SIG AI at ACES, and ACES now continues to offer the IDEA Institute on AI. So I'm going to pass it over to Dania.
Thank you, Clara. Why we did this? How did we get involved? Actually, Clara, gave a brief overview how we got involved in the project and applied for the grant, and we got the grant. We wanted initially to understand what iSchools in the US and Canada are offering in terms of AI related courses. That was in 2022, before generative AI was, especially ChatGPT was released. And then we decided also to skip 1 year and then look at 2024 to see what changes have been made over the 2 years. And this way we'd be able to compare the AI related courses that have been integrated during that time period. 3 research questions guided our project. We wanted to know what the AI areas were. We used the course titles at all the iSchools I guess there were like 53 or so, all iSchools in the US and Canada. We wanted also to, another one, to look by facets, not just by, facets like for the titles of those articles. And I will, in the next slide, you will see what we mean by areas and what we mean by facets. We also wanted to see, does course offerings vary by degree level, like graduate versus undergraduate, graduate certificates versus undergraduate certificates, and so forth. Next slide. Yes, so the AI areas ranged from these are the codes that we created to actually cover the spectrum of the AI related courses that we have identified. So we had to create a scheme for the AI areas and a scheme for the AI facets. And we coded like AI artificial intelligence because, we wanted to get the variation in the course titles that include AI and also AI artificial intelligence, AI ethics, and you see the rest up to robotics. That's another area. We looked at the facets. We coded the facets as AI general. Okay, so it covered from general AI related courses to, for example, courses on AI ethics, courses on AI design, courses on applied AI in specific fields. Next slide. No, we're still in the same slide. So for the 2022 and the 2024, and you see here the difference between the two. The 2022 actually findings were published in the 2025 Association for Information Science and Technology Conference Proceedings. 2024, the difference between, a comparison between 22 and 24 will be published in a book, an IFLA book as a book chapter that's forthcoming. So you see here, I'm not going to read everything, but you see the differences between 2022 and the 2023. We had 52 schools in 2022. One school dropped as a member of the iSchools in 2024. The number of courses increased in 2024 by 52%. Areas that are covered based on our coding increased by nearly 50% and the facets by nearly 53%. There was also a change by degree level and certificate courses. The number of undergraduate courses increased. The graduate courses also increased. And iSchools programs were leveraging existing courses to create graduate and undergraduate certificate programs, or general certificate programs. Some of the key findings is that in terms of AI areas, we found definitely, we did not expect to, Gen AI was not there. So 2022 Gen AI did not, no courses were included, but we found 7 courses in 2024. We found 1 course in prompt engineering. And in general, 43% of the iSchools in the US and Canada were not offering AI specific courses. And there were no courses on AI literacy. And this data is up to the end of spring 2026. Okay. And as I mentioned, 53% or so were AI-related courses in terms of facets. Most facets were technical, which means most AI-related courses that were offered are technical in nature, including the Gen AI courses that were offered in 2024. The variation, as I mentioned, leveraging AI courses to offer programs. And we found that graduate certificates there were 15 graduate certificates in 2024 versus 0 in 2022. Next. Now I pass it on to Sue.
Okay, thank you, Dania. So after working with Clara and Dania on these two projects, I became concerned with the background and competencies of instructors who teach technical AI courses in LIS programs. As you know, these instructors typically come from computer science or data science background, and they tend to have limited or no experience in librarianship. So in response to this challenge, and to better prepare for future LIS faculty who can have a stronger understanding of library context, the UT Austin High School implemented an experiential learning initiative within our doctoral program. So this program aims to integrate LIS education more closely with needs, value, and practices of library and information professionals. Next slide. So this project is called the LEATHER, training future LIS faculty in AI and data science. So what we did was that we introduced what's called library rotation education model. In order to bridge the gap between LIS education and realities of professional practice. So each year, PhD students collaborate with several librarians by rotating through 3 different kinds of libraries. One semester in public library, one semester in school library, one semester in academic library for AI-related research project. We really try to address the needs of partnering libraries directly. So through this rotation education model, PhD students received valuable professional mentorship from 3 local partners: Austin Public Library, Navarro High School Library, and University of Texas libraries for each of their 3 semesters. So the examples of a project include like assessing AI readiness in public libraries, identifying future AI-related project that aligns with the core value of academic libraries. Or we also work on developing AI literacy programs for high school students. Next slide, please. So, you can kind of see the details of what I just described. What I want to claim here is that instructors and faculty members who teach AI technical courses may overlook traditional LIS concerns because they were trained in more computer science and data science. So the challenge we face require more than just revising the curriculum in the iSchool. As Nania presented, also iSchools in US and Canada tend to be very slow in, adopting new topics. My research team at UT Austin believe that, the current challenge requires dialogue, collaboration, and mutual learning among faculty and graduate students and library and information professionals. Next slide, please. So to conclude, we just want to emphasize once again, the education and training programs needs to go beyond AI's technical aspect. Instead, we must provide education that addresses AI from societal, ethical, legal, cultural, and design perspective. Librarians need to embrace the concept of communities of practice by learning together and by extending collaboration with the iSchool faculty and students while opening up maybe their libraries as a living learning labs. In addition, AI literacy training needs to be implemented to prepare both library community members and the librarians to understand the evolution of AI, more critically from broader perspectives. So that's what we prepared. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all of that great information, and to all of our speakers. I haven't noticed any questions in the chat or in the Q&A yet that haven't already been addressed. But so feel free to add your questions to either the Q&A or to the chat. But I'm going to kick off some questions to get us started. And one question I had, and any of you can answer this question. And as some of you talked about some of the challenges with AI education and some of the ethics and some of the concerns about its how equitable or inclusive that can be. So as LIS educators, what can we do to ensure that AI integration doesn't deepen some of the existing global inequities in access, infrastructure, or knowledge production? Would one of you like to answer that question?
Maybe I can kick off.
That'd be great.
I think that's very hard because one thing I suppose I didn't mention was AI has proliferated in our environments, but it's not under our control. Usually when institutions introduce new technologies for learning, they are controlled by that institution and implemented, and training is offered. AI has kind of been dumped on us, really. And I don't think it is actually fundamentally going to promote equity. But there are some good things about it. For example, like in that wonky study, and in our own studies, like students with disabilities often find ways to make it work really well for them. So I think there are opportunities for equity to be promoted, but on the whole, AI, well, it's often, well, we often encounter AI that's been trained on basically English language content from the global north. It's got all sorts of stereotypes and biases built in, and access is not equal. But at least our institutions are trying to say, well, our institution's saying, well, use Gemini. We've got a good version of that. At least it's equitable for our students. Of course, some students will pay extra to have better AI, but we can't control everything.
Thank you. Yeah, Danya.
Yeah, at the University of Tennessee, 2 or 3 years ago, they implemented, we implemented our own AI chatbot. And but I don't think students use it as much as they use the general ones, like Gemini, ChatGPT, and so forth. But that's one way also to honestly, I don't know if the people who worked on it, I'm sure they are expert in that area, but to what extent it promotes equity and so forth. As Andrew mentioned, that there is a lot that's out of our control, but I guess in order not to hopefully we should not widen the gap, but okay, let me repeat that, say it differently. In order to actually make it more inclusive, I believe we need to ensure that all population in our, let's say, for example, in Tennessee, they have access to it. They understand what it is. Like in the research project I'm working on, students were in rural communities. They were homeschooled. This surprised us, most of them. And so they don't have access to what others have. So that's that's not inclusive enough. So by doing this research, we are promoting, and making stakeholders aware of this issue, that to bring the technology to those, students, and also train them in effective and ethical and responsible use of AI that they don't have access, through schooling or so.
Great, thank you. And Bosire, and then go ahead, and then we have some questions from the audience I'd like to ask you.
Thank you so much once again. Personally, I think the question that you ask is a very important one, and I think it's very critical because it revolves around also the level of adoption or the rate of adoption of AI. And one of the writers who came up with one of the models that we use more often, or theory that we use more often in anchoring our research in adoption of technology and ICTs, spoke about early adopters and late adopters. And oftentimes the early adopters will run with the adopted devices, adopted technology a little bit faster than the late adopters. And oftentimes we see late adopters coming from developing countries, while the developed countries tend to adopt technology very swiftly and faster. So I think, in my view, one of the strategies that we can put in place to ensure then therefore that as much as we may not have equity as the full, I mean, in its sense, that is that we can all be at the same level. We can try to perhaps make sure that collaborative learning is one of those areas that we can improve on, so that as people in different fields or different areas or different regions adopt AI and use it, that even those learners or those students in other regions that are not very quick to adopt AI can also be able to benefit from this collaborative learning. And even collaborative research. Research collaboration can also bring around some kind of equity in terms of the sharing of resources, sharing of knowledge and skills. So, and then we also have what we call the open educational resources that have become very common now in the institutions of higher learning. And if we develop these resources and share them widely, I think we can also become we can reduce that gap between different groups of people. So, and I agree with the other speakers who have also mentioned something about disabilities and all that. So, yeah, I think I should just stop there and say that indeed there are many ways that we can adopt in order for us to bring about some kind of equity that is required. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for all your responses. We do have a couple questions from the audience that I'd like to pose to you, and I'll leave it open to see if who would like to answer that. So we have a question from Dr. Joan Maramba, who asked, are there any assessment models or evidence-based strategies that you would recommend for measuring AI literacy competencies among LIS instructors and students?
I can give an answer just to kick.
Okay.
I'm sure there'll be many other answers, but
sure.
there are a lot of AI literacy models out there. I know of at least 40, but there are many more. A lot of them are not LIS specific, because I think they deal with a level of knowledge of AI, of creating AI. I personally think one of the best ones is the UNESCO one. And of course, there is the ARL sort of competencies framework for librarians as such. Having said that, I think AI is quite a changeable topic, and I'm not sure I would think in terms of like a validated scale of AI literacy. I think maybe in 5 years' time, we'll have a clear idea of what AI literacy for LIS professionals should look like, but I don't think that's stable now. So many new things are coming up all the time that that's a moving target.
Great, thank you. Did anybody have any more to add to that?
It also depends on where you are, are we talking about teachers in K-12 schools, like public school? Are we talking about educators, in research institutions? So as Andrew mentioned, Actually, there are lots of frameworks, but some of those frameworks are not evidence-based. I don't know, Andrew, if you agree with me, but I looked at some of these frameworks. They are just based on systematic review of the literature. So we do need more evidence-based frameworks, to go by.
Great. Gosh, we have so many great questions and we only have like 5 more minutes. Oh, go ahead, please. Did you want to give a response, Bosire?
Oh, okay. No, I just wanted to say, I think the previous speaker almost took the words off my mouth. I wanted to say that I haven't come across an AI competence model. I mean, the model that can assess the competence of learners or students. But what I've come across are models that outline the competencies themselves and skills. Whether those models can be used to measure or assess the competence of individuals is something else. But they offer the competence levels, they offer the types of competencies, the skills, and everything else. And those are models that we do have right now that express those competencies, but not necessarily that they are used as a tool to assess the competence thereof of individuals. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, we have such thoughtful questions and don't have time to get to them all. So hopefully we can capture those questions and maybe reflect on them or share them out, because I don't want to lose their important they're really good questions. I wonder if we could just do a speed round going in the last minute or two that we have, to have you guys do this big ask. I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but like in just a quick sentence, what do you think is the biggest opportunity or the biggest risk that AI presents for library and information science education globally? Or just something top of mind that comes to mind. What, just quickly, what do you guys think? Somebody like to kick that off?
Sure, I'll kick that off. And I think that collaboration is important. We've already talked about issues of equity. And so working global north and global south across many of our experiences and tackling some of the lack of resources that some institutions face, and some of us who have more resources. How do we put together our concerns and ideas and work towards solutions that are more global and holistic?
Thank you, Clara.
Maybe I can go next.
Sure.
So I think that, our sort of a traditional LIS education model, like people go into sort of like a 2-year or 4-year sort of a degree program, and then use the, like knowledge and skills for the rest of their career. Unfortunately, I think that those days are gone, as we already know, right? So I think that, like Dania mentioned, the certificate program is rising, but more importantly, I believe that librarians and then information professionals need to be more proactive, and they're reaching out and then develop, like a collaboration between LIS program and then their library, and then kind of like, learning new AI skills while working on their project. And then this is going to be should be continued effort. That's what I think.
Okay, one more quick comment, and then we're going to have to call it. Does anybody else want to say one quick thing? Yes.
There is still some, what do we say it, anxiety around AI in the profession and among faculty, and also among information professionals. So it's good to reach out to information professionals, and by creating professional development program that start from the basic level and go up, and this way to prepare information professionals for change.
Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you to all of our excellent presenters today. And I want to mention that they are all contributors to a new book that I am co-editing with two colleagues. That's called Library and Information Science Education Around the World, Historical Trends, Current Perspectives and Future Projections. That's being produced in honor of IFLA's section of Education and Trainings 50th anniversary, and I'm very excited about this book. It's in the works right now, so just stay tuned. That'll be coming out through the IFLA publication series. But just a huge round of applause to our speakers today. They were outstanding, and thank you all for participating and joining today in this really important conversation. And thank you to Elise and to IFLA for sponsoring and organizing this event.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you,
Good
everyone.
to
Okay.
see
Yeah,
you. Thank you,
you
for the
all.
Sandy.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thank you and bye-bye, colleagues.
Bye.
Bye.